Hello, hi, it is I, Serendipity Weird, here with an update. An update I've been trying, well, a series of updates, I don't know, that I've been trying to make for some time now. But oh my gosh, has everything been absolutely just one thing after another? I had kind of, when I made the update about having surgery, thyroid cancer, blah, blah, all of these things, I had intended, like, okay, cool, I'll have like an update at a week, and then maybe I'll do like a 2 week update, 3 week, whatever seemed to make sense. Well, these things did not quite happen, obviously. Right at about a week and a half. Yeah. So I missed filming like a week. I had I had words. Whew, 1 second. Let's drink some water. Let's take a breath. Okay. Allow the thoughts and the words to all kind of flow, in a not jumbled disaster. Okay. And let's try to remember what's happened over since the last time I popped in here in the interweb net world. Okay, so a week and a day, I had my appointment with my endocrinologist. We discussed the results of the surgery and the pathology that came back on the specimen that was my thyroid, which confirmed, yes, cancer. He wants to treat things aggressively. I will have a radioactive iodine treatment upcoming. At the time, he was like, let's schedule this for a month out. I have yet to hear back from their office, which is not surprising to me for reasons that we'll get to. So that's a whole thing. So I'm like, okay, this is going to entail a very specialized diet as prep for this therapy, procedure, treatment, because I have to be on a low iodine diet prior to receiving the treatment and fun stuff like that. So yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from an office. Probably might try to give my endocrinologist a call tomorrow and, just make sure ducks are in rows or what have you. So there was that. So I was like, okay, that was expected, honestly. He was very much like, I want to treat this aggressively, let's make sure all is good. And I'm like, cool, dude, that's what I want to do. And at this point, I've gone through a lot of the sort of emotional background stuff, right? That was like, where this isn't really as scary in general to me anymore, especially post-surgery. I'm just kind of like, well, this is kind of life now. I take a pill every morning to make sure that my body can function the way that it needs to, and cool, good. Sorry, I hit the table and made everything bounce. Not fun. So that was that. So I was gonna record an update like that Thursday or that Friday. Somewhere in this, I started recording some little snippets of art making, but I haven't turned those into videos yet because at first I was like, oh, I'll film like wherever and then I'll just do voiceover. But I'm pretty sure that's like a step too many for me right now. Like the fact that not only would I then need to like put the video into the editing program, poke at it, and then like think about what I want to say over top of it just seems a bit overwhelming. I did take some of that video, pop it in the editor, strip out the sound, start cutting out some of the, just like, here's a long dry time while this thing was drying. But I haven't turned it into a video yet because I'm pretty sure I just kind of don't want to do a voiceover. So I did record something else where I didn't actually listen to copyrighted music the whole time, right? And like just kind of chatted my way through the art I was making. So maybe that will become a video. I don't know. I have, while I'm out here on Le Magical Porch, I have also drug a bunch of art supplies out with me and my other camera and my laptop and all the things to create a studio setup here and potentially record some art. So that's kind of where that's going. Um, so I was in this whole kind of like, well, maybe I want to do an art video before I do an update video. And then at, like 1 week and a couple of days, the same day that we were going to call our primary care person and be like, hey, so about that whole gallbladder situation my partner has that we need to resolve, let's like get the ball rolling on resolving that now that I've had, surgery and, we've got my medical stuff happening. His body didn't really want to wait that long. So we ended up at the ER for him with a gallbladder attack. So that happened. We were in the hospital overnight. I stayed with him, helping him all of that. So that was a whole thing. So 1 week I had surgery. Less than 2 weeks later, he had surgery. Thank goodness there's a third of us, like there's another adult in the household because we are an awesome Triforce polycule and somebody that wasn't, recovering from surgery. So as I was starting to really sort of feel normal-ish, I'm now helping him with all the things that he needs in the direct aftermath of surgery, while also trying not to, lift anything too much, strain myself, rest, all of that. It was intense to say the least. And there was a hurricane of the Helene variety, which thankfully missed us. We had rain, we had wind. We were not affected. Like, we were too south really for any of that situation, and too east. The effects, oh my gosh, just the freaking effects of Hurricane Helene, though, just absolutely disastrous. I have so many friends up in the Western North Carolina area, in South Carolina, that absolutely were devastated with that storm, and it's just heart-wrenching. So that's happening. Here, the night that she sort of passed us, like, was just all the anxiety for me, because of, like, the winds were just so loud outside of the house, and we hadn't, because of where we were situated, we hadn't done like shutters and all of that stuff because we were, outside of the track, well outside of the track, but well inside of still, like, hurricanes are ginormous, like they are huge. So you can't just be like, oh, well, this map says this little cone or whatever, right? Like, you have to understand that these things are much larger than even what you see there. And I'm very grateful that the National Hurricane Center and meteorologists are starting to put more emphasis on the size of these storms so that it's more understandable to people that even if you're not, like, directly in the path, that there are effects. Anyway, that was devastating. That was horrible. Not directly to me, but thankfully, because like with healing 2 surgeries and all this other stuff, that was just a level. But watching it, right? Like, there's the survivor's guilt. There's the, like, I'm not in that, but I see all my friends suffering. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just, that's its own whole ass thing, right? Okay, so that happened. that happened. And then I'm like, was there any sort of normalcy in between that before Milton? I don't know. I don't think there was any normalcy. I think it was us. Just, we've been kind of trying to literally heal bodies. And then it became clear that Hurricane Milton would be a threat and possibly very much more of a direct threat to us, given the pathing and all of that. And after weathering Ian 2 years ago, right, 2022, and seeing like the wobble and the track change and all of that last minute, we knew for Milton we really, 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 really had to be prepped. So that was pretty much all of this last week. And, you know, it's a lot. Again, still trying not to like, at this point, I was past the 2 week mark of no heavy lifting, no strenuous activity for 2 weeks. But my follow up with my surgeon had been set for pretty much 3 weeks because they weren't going to be able to, like, no one was available in the office at the 2 week sort of mark. So my follow up with them was supposed to be last Tuesday. However, Milton was scheduled to visit on Wednesday. So obviously, like, appointments were canceled and things like that. Totally understandable. So now my 2 week follow up is happening at about almost 4 weeks probably tomorrow. So we'll have some things around that, probably tomorrow. Don't know what all that entails. Definitely have some things I want to talk to the surgeon about because I'm having some experiences that feel like I don't have pain, but I do have some pressure in things that I was feeling closer to when the surgery happened, but then I hadn't really been feeling, but now I'm kind of feeling again. So, there's stuff like that where I'm just like, okay, let's chat about this. The surgical glue is still in place. I was told, don't touch it, don't wiggle it, don't, just shower, let water run over it, let soap run over it, that kind of thing. So, breathing. I have been doing that. So it's still it's starting to kind of come off, but it's not looking that pleasant, but that's what it is. Hello, neighbor dog. So that, I think that's, yes. So Milton is descending. It's clear that it's going to be somewhere making landfall, potentially in our general region, potentially north of us a bit. So we're in like full prep mode. On the upside, we put a lot of the pieces in place for prepping for big storms like that 2 years ago during Ian, right? Like that was our first. We were also here for Irma, but we were in a different house, and we just kind of did our best there. It was a rental. We were very lucky to not have any damage there. And with Ian, we had to kind of figure out, how to. Luckily, like the house we bought came with hurricane shutters. It was new construction, so we had reasonable faith that it's like up to all of the newest sort of building codes and all that kind of stuff. And we're inland. I had checked where we were in relation to where like Ian made landfall, and we were like 35 miles inland, which sounds really close and is really close. And also, it's a significant distance. We're not in flood zones. We're not in any evac zones. We're not near any water. Hello again, neighbor dogs. Hopefully they're not too loud and annoying, but maybe I'll try to check before I upload this, but no promises, so my apologies if they're loud and obnoxious. But point being, we had already spent a lot of effort figuring out how we prep and what needs to be done, and then making some tweaks because we were out of power for like six, almost 7 days after Ian. So we had realized like what sort of supplies we started to like run out of in that time frame. So we had a really good idea going into the prep for Milton what had to be done, and we made lists, and we all did that. And we had a couple of friends who were in evac zones and didn't really have anywhere to evac to, so we invited them to come stay with us. And all of the prep went rather smoothly, and we got everything pretty much done that we were trying to get done beforehand, despite having two of the three of us be in a state of recovery from surgeries. We still managed to do it. I am somewhat worried that just given the additional physical exertion, that I've maybe put too much physical exertion on myself, which is why I'm kind of feeling some tightness and stuff, some like discomfort. But again, I'm not feeling any pain, and talking is pretty much fine, and so on. So hopefully, the healing is going as planned. Hello, little lizard in the background. Hi, buddy. Out here on the porch, we get lots of lizards and frogs. It's pretty cool, actually. There was a blue-tailed skink this morning. I was like, oh, that's neat. I don't often see them like up on furnishings or walls. Like normally, just kind of lucky to catch a glimpse of one running through grass. But I digress. So to the Milton piece of the puzzle, even up to about when the storm was hitting, we still weren't really sure how badly we would be affected. It was, sorry, leg is itching, so awkward angle. Let's just hang here for a minute. It was looking more like landfall would be north, but huge storms are huge, y'all. They're giant. I cannot stress that enough. They are very, very large. And in the general area that I'm in, not directly super close to us, thankfully. Like, let's just pause for an absolute moment of gratitude. Seriously. Because we are so fortunate, and I am so grateful that we were able to move through Milton without much effect at all. Like, we definitely had scary winds. I feel like I leveled up in my how to weather a hurricane skill set, because I did not hang out in any of the bedrooms during the storm, because we had other people. Oh my God, stop itching the leg. Because we had some other people here, and we have a very large central living room space. We had all kind of were just hanging out together, trying to distract each other from, the fact that there was a very big storm outside. And in the place that I sort of found to perch during, I couldn't really hear the winds, which I am very, very, very grateful for. Because that stuff is very frightening to me after Irma, Ian, and Helene. The sound of the wind outside can, like, logically, I'll be like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But emotionally, I'm like, is the house being torn apart? Logically, I'm like, it's concrete block, it's reinforced, there's nothing for wind to grab, there are shutters. Emotionally, I'm like, but is it being ripped apart? So it's a whole thing. Um, and with everything shuttered, there's also this level of like sort of fear around everything is closed in. There's no escape. Not that you would want to escape, but like the garage door is locked, even. You know, back door, front door both have shutters. They can't open. The only egress is the garage door at that point. I'm not going to scratch that dang bug bite again, no matter how much I want to. Um, and so that's sort of like there's that fear as well. So distractions are totally the name of the game for me to keep from just anxiety spiral. So once we had all of the sort of prep done and everything, the physical prep, then it was time for me to do my metaphysical prep and jump into my sort of magical, witchy side of protection-y stuff. Um, and so I baked a couple loaves of bread, which has been my go-to. I don't really know where that came from, except that when Irma came through was like I had recently, I think, baked bread for like a Sabbath celebration for the first time. And I was like, what if I baked bread and offered it to the land spirits and asked for help and protection in the storm? So that's become my intangible prep, my magical prep, my witchy prep, what have you, um, is to do that. And so the morning, Wednesday morning, yeah, like so Tuesday at like Tuesday night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm actually baking the bread. Like one of my friends who had evac'd here, like basically fell asleep seeing me standing in the kitchen baking, and then woke up to seeing me standing in the kitchen baking, and they're like, "Are Laura, are you okay? Like, did you sleep?" And I was like, yes, I did sleep. Um, but yeah, so I baked my bread, I did my witchy stuff, and then I baked like chocolate chip cookies and I baked dinner rolls because I was like, maybe carbs will get us through this. I don't know. Um, anyway, we were fully prepared to lose power. I expected that we would lose power. And thankfully, we did not. It threatened a couple of times, but it managed to come back. Um, and so we were incredibly lucky, and I'm extremely grateful that we were out of worse areas of the storm. Um, and again, then it's like in these past few days of follow up, seeing so many people I know and I love, and they had it so much worse. So again, there's all of that, like that helplessness of I can't fix these problems. I can't really do much about it, and it sucks. Um, yeah, that's all. Like that's so while it's not any sort of help in the tangible physical reality, I continue to do prayer work, thanks work, like gratitude work, and sending out little bits of love and hope, that people will have their utilities restored quickly, that they will have access to the things that they need, the food, the shelter, it's just these storms are devastating. They are absolutely devastating. Um, and the anxiety, like the emotions are palpable afterwards for extensive periods of time. Like I have felt just the vibe around Fort Myers since Ian has just been, it seems like there's such a higher, like just general anxiety, right? Like people, because people are operating with the loss of so many things. Houses are lost, just or property damage or cars or, you know, people, right? People die in these storms. Like it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And I feel bad even like talking about it because I feel like I it's hard to process this stuff, especially I feel like when I have been so fortunate to not experience the depth of what it could be. Um, it all just really sucks. That's pretty much that. Um, but process it we shall. And ultimately, also, there is, I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't have any answers to all of this. And if I can't help my friends and loved ones with tangible physical realm things, I will try to help through the intangible and metaphysical, spiritual side of things. So that is that. Um, so now we are. What even is today? Today is Sunday as I'm recording this. Milton made landfall late Wednesday. Um, like I want to say 8:30 p.m. and it was a couple like about 3 hours north of us, like drive time. Um, so even with that, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, how huge these storms are. We are a considerable distance away. And, you know, there were definitely still effects over here. Parts of Fort Myers flooded again. You know, there are people in town who, you know, basically just got their stuff sort of cleaned up from Helene. It's freaking awful. It is awful, awful, awful. Um, yeah. There were multiple, that's the thing I was trying to say, and I got sidetracked earlier. We were also incredibly fortunate because none of the massive tornadoes that hit around this area um, affected us either. Like maybe an hour's drive from us, there was a tornado that I think what I was reading was like it lasted like over 2 hours. I was like, what? I did, like, I had no idea that a tornado could even exist that long. Like, I definitely thought that they were much more sudden and gone, if that makes sense. Like, I've never actually thought about how long a tornado exists. I do know that we're definitely in risk area for such things, especially during before, like in the same time frame as hurricanes. That tornadoes often spawn as well. Like and Florida is actually one of the more tornado prone spaces. We often think about the Midwest of the United States being sort of, tornado alley or what have you, but Florida gets a lot of freaking tornadoes. So, and like all the lightning. Um, anyway, anyway, again, I would just like to emphasize the huge amount of gratitude and how fortunate I feel that we were able to move through this storm, that we were able to provide space to 3 other people. We also happened to be dog sitting 3 extra dogs. So it was a full house for a couple of days, but luckily everybody was able to return home, and in those spaces they had lost power, but I think by the time they all got home on Friday, because we were like, look, stay Thursday also, there's no reason to like run home to no power when you're already situated here. I think that their power had been able to be restored. So very, very grateful to all of the linemen, the electricians, all of the people, all of the emergency personnel who are continuing to work their butts off to restore utilities, not only here in Florida, but still trying to deal with the aftermath of Helene up in North Carolina, in South Carolina, all in places that, have no like experience dealing with these kind of storms. Here we do. Like I said, this is sort of our fourth major storm as like adults living in a house that we're responsible for, sort of situation. Um, and then I've been in Florida like pretty much my entire life, so like hurricanes are kind of part of it, right? Like you kind of get used to what the prep is needed and all of that, but it's frustrating too, because looking at, especially in my area, where I would like to emphasize again, we were extraordinarily lucky that we were not further impacted. And like I said, the nearest major city, because I'm on the outskirts of Fort Myers in a slightly different town, Fort Myers proper, damage, flooding, all of that stuff again, right? That comes with it because it's closer to the water. And it's so frustrating to me to see in like groups online, specifically to like my little region, where people are just like, it wasn't even a thing. And I'm like, you're freaking lucky it wasn't a thing. Don't complain about how you had to do prep and then it didn't, like, it wasn't necessary. To me, that is the most amazing gift. If I have to work my butt off for a couple of days to secure my home and my space and the land on which I reside and all of that, and then, quote, nothing really happens, thank you. Thank you. That prep was still incredibly worth it, because that's not the outcome that you can assume is going to happen, even if you're inland, right? Even if you're inland. So, anyway, it's so many feelings. Um, just so much. And that's pretty much the update. 2 surgeries, 2 hurricanes in the past. Yeah, we're not even like a fully 30 days since my surgery. So I'm like, uh, um, and it's now like mid-October. I'm like, how did it even become mid-October? How did this happen? Um, so we'll see. I'm gonna keep just trying to kind of distract myself with art when I can, and stay busy, but also rest. And maybe I will provide another updatey kind of thing within the next week. Like I said, I talked to the surgeon tomorrow to try to find out make sure that, the healing is going well and all of that. And hopefully I will start posting some art videos as well soon. But if you stayed along through this entire journey, thank you. If you can, if you have it in your finances, if you have it in your physical ability, if you have it in, if you are able to give assistance to any of the areas that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene or Hurricane Milton, whether that's up in the Carolinas, particularly Western North Carolina, if you are in the Tampa, St. Pete region of Florida, or can send help to there, like it's particularly probably in the form of funds to a charity or whatnot, please help people, right? Like ultimately, we're all humans in this space. Hopefully, I know, side tangent, like I know that we socially are pretty divided these days here in the United States. Things maybe don't feel super united all the time. There's all this culture war junk going on. It's dumb, whatever. But ultimately, we are all humans on this planet. And if we can try to ease the suffering of each other, even just a little bit, even if that's just through a tiny little act of kindness, let's do that. Let's choose to try to ease some of the suffering, because all of this is really, 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 really hard at varying levels. My hard is definitely not that bad right now. Like there's a lot that's been going on, but all things considered, in a pretty good place. Other people are not so lucky. So let us try to do what we can to ease one another's suffering, to help out where we can, and to do some sort of little random acts of kindness. That is what I really, really, really hope we can all do. Anyway, I didn't know where I was going to go with this ramble. Thank you for hanging out here till the end with me. YouTube things, whatever, like, subscribe stuff feels really silly after talking about heavy stuff, but whatever. And lots of love to you. May you be well if you are currently coping with the aftermath of these storms or any other challenges and tragedies. I really sincerely hope that suffering eases for you sooner rather than later. May you receive what you need to be on a path toward greater security in your life, more healing in your life, and more contentment. Anyway, I'm going to go. Lots of love. Bye.